Hi everyone, and welcome to the Band Factory. We're so excited that you've decided to join us as a member of our team. My name is Brian Rowe, and I will be serving as your woodwind and brass instructor here at the Band Factory. A little bit about myself. I've been working in education and in music for the past 15 years. I hold a bachelor's degree and master's degree in music education, and it's truly one of the things I'm incredibly passionate about, is how students learn and how we can all learn to be better musicians and better students along the way. Today we're going to be discussing a little bit of the basics of the saxophone, right? When you open up the case, you're probably wondering, how do I get started? How do I put this together? And how do I make my first notes? Well, we're going to talk about all the basics you're going to need to be successful today. Let's start off with our saxophone. When you open up the case, you're going to have a lot of pieces floating around in there, and we're going to have to break those down just so that way you put it together properly and you don't have anything broken along the way. Okay, your saxophone is made up of a couple of different main pieces. We're going to start from the very top and kind of work our way down. The first thing you've got is your mouthpiece. Now I have mine all put together, but yours is going to be in three different sections. Okay, your first part is going to be your reed. Your reed is the thing that vibrates and makes 90% of the sound of the saxophone. You also have your mouthpiece. Now, if you picked up a mouthpiece from one of our local distributors or from someone local, hopefully they've included a mouthpiece in the box. And the last thing you need is your ligature. Okay, your ligature is going to hold the reed to your mouthpiece. All we have to do is take our fresh reed out of the package. You can either put it in your mouth or put it into a cup of water. Get it nice and moist. And we're actually going to line up the tip of the reed with the tip of your mouthpiece. Okay, so it's going to look a little bit like this when it's all put together, right? The tip of my mouthpiece is right on the tip of the reed. Once that is set and good to go, I like to very carefully put my ligature on and tighten it just a little bit. Now, you'll know your ligature is in the right spot when the screw is directly to your right, and we're going to tighten that just a little. We don't need to tighten it all the way. The second part of your saxophone is your neck. Okay, so the neck of the saxophone is probably going to be somewhere off to the side, but the neck is going to be your connecting piece from your mouthpiece to the rest of the horn. Okay, very simply, we take the metal side of our neck and we're going to very gently place that into our saxophone. You'll also notice a screw at the very top of the body of your saxophone. That you're going to need to loosen a little bit, so that way you can gently just kind of wiggle this on. So mine goes on just like that. You're going to find a little bit of resistance, but that's okay, especially with a brand new saxophone. When it's formally in a great spot, you're going to line up that saxophone neck with the middle part, this little thumb rest on the end of your saxophone, and then you can tighten the screw. Next thing you want to do is add your mouthpiece right onto the cork, and I like to just find a middle spot. During your first lesson, we will adjust where this mouthpiece goes on your saxophone, so don't be afraid to just kind of place it in the middle, and we'll fix that during your first lesson. The next part is the neck of your saxophone. Now, the neck is probably going to be somewhere off to the side of your sax, and it's going to look just like this. And it has two different ends to it. You have a metal side and one that has a little bit of cork on the end. What you need to do is take the metal side, unscrew this small screw here, and you're just going to gently shimmy this onto your sax, just like that. Now, you know it's in the right spot is when the neck of your saxophone is lined up with the middle of where your keys are right on the back, and that's going to face right towards you as you play. When you're all set, you can screw that right in place and move on from there. After that, we're going to take our mouthpiece and we are going to very gently place it on the cork side of the neck. Okay, you can find a nice middle ground. It doesn't have to be fully on. It also doesn't have to be falling off of the saxophone, right? Find a place where it'll just stay in one spot and it's nice and comfortable. During your first lesson, we will adjust this to make sure you are making the correct sounds and feeling as comfortable as possible. Now you've got your full saxophone assembled, and so now we need to talk about where we place our fingers. You're going to see a lot of these pearls that are hanging out right in the front of your saxophone. Your left hand's going to go on top, and you're going to have a few different keys at your disposal that you can hit. Your finger is going to place, sometimes there's a pearl right at the very top. You are never going to put your index finger on the very top pearl. So you're going to find that second pearl bottom, place your fingers there, and then we will find the fourth pearl down and the fifth pearl down. If your saxophone looks a little bit like this, and you have your hands in this position, you're in a pretty good spot. The same thing will happen with the right side of our saxophone. I'll take my right hand, I'm going to place my thumb right underneath our little thumb rest here, and then we only really have 3 circular pearls here. You're going to put your index finger on the first, your second finger, or your middle finger on the second pearl, and then your ring finger on the third. Now, you can try playing a little bit with your fingers right up and down the saxophone. You'll know you did it right when you hear some descending pitches as we move through. Nice, let's talk about making your first sound on the instrument. So now that you've got everything put together, we can very, very easily go to our mouthpiece, and if we just blow air through the saxophone, you'll notice that it's not going to make a sound initially. Okay? What we need to add a little bit is some pressure from our bottom jaw. Okay? Now, how do we do that? We're going to take our bottom lip and we're just going to very gently curl it over our bottom teeth. Okay? I like to think of that when almost the bottom pink part of your lip meets your teeth, that is where your bottom lip is going to go. Okay? Once you have your bottom lip rounded here, we're going to take your mouth and you're going to find the middle of your mouthpiece. Okay? So our bottom lip is going to go directly onto the reed. Okay? I don't need to use any fingers to play our first note. All I have to do is find where that jaw pressure is going to be most successful and then blow. Right now I'm not using any fingers and I'm just simply blowing into the instrument and finding a little bit of where that jaw pressure makes the most sound, right? If I have too little jaw pressure, it'll sound like this. If I have too much jaw pressure, you might have a squeak or make a squeak on the saxophone. Or you don't make any sounds at all, right? So we'll find that middle ground. So slowly adjust your bottom lip to get that first sound out. When you start playing the notes of the saxophone, you might notice that they might sound a little funky. They might sound a little weird right off the bat. That's all okay, and that's all a part of the process of making noise on the saxophone. The more that you practice and the more that you get your mouth to the saxophone, the better over time that your tone and your sound is going to be. So for my parents watching at home, you might say, holy cow, there's screaming cats or there's someone nailing a chalkboard in the other room. That's okay. That's a part of the learning process. I want you to meet that with open arms, and I want you to continue to encourage not only yourself, but your student to continue making music as much as possible, right? You can't play at Carnegie Hall without making a couple of huge mistakes or making some awful noises at home in the comfort of people who love and support your musical experience. So keep making music, keep making sounds, and the more lessons you take and the more time you have on the instrument, I promise, the better you will sound and the more comfortable you'll be. And I think the most important thing here is that we are always having fun when we gravitate towards our instrument. Play the things you love. Play the things that you hear on the radio and see if you can recreate it on your instrument. There's nothing more fun than trying to create your own arrangement of some of the music that you love and some of the music that your parents, family, and friends love. It is a community effort, and we really need to bring our love and our own passions to the instrument to make it unique and to make it your own. Thank you so much for watching the video. I am so excited for you to get in for your first lesson, and thank you so much for choosing the Band Factory.